Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with today's trading action. All right, now there's a bit of a countdown, 24 hours till the US CPI numbers, but there's a few things going on, and we are starting to see a nice natural flow in the currencies. Now, let me just show you the charts first. I mentioned this yesterday. Looks like I forgot to post the video, but we had that sort of dollar weakness and the little bit of strength, right? These were all a bit oversold yesterday. And it's nice to see the natural flow of the markets come into play, right? Topping out, Euro was topping out yesterday at the start of the European session. Same with sterling. Now, these weren't situations where I was looking to get into the trade. I'm just trying to work out, trading conditions have been a little bit odd. Now it's starting to get a little bit uniform. And that's because the US numbers are fitting the picture, right? So, like you look at these, if you just looked at the hourly charts by themselves, you'd be like, oh yeah, they've everything's sort of topped out. But what it is just a natural part of the flow. They go down, they come back a little bit, and then they go again. That's what I'm expecting, right? So ideally, what would be great if it was the US CPI numbers today, but it's not, right? We've got the PPI numbers. Now, just looking at a couple of these things on the daily charts, right? The overall trends are still here, right? Euro up, sterling up. Aussie's finally starting to go up, and the Kiwi's sort of lagging here, right? It's just behind everything else. The dollar index has been drifting sideways, but overall down. Same with dollar Swiss. The beast, right? Which I fondly call the dollar yen, it is sideways. And just with the dollar move and oil moves, dollar CAD is just drifting sideways there as well, right? So that's the picture. We've got very clear direction here now, and when you see this, okay, it's a little bit. I wouldn't say odd, but we do get the major currency pairs lining up now. This has changed a little bit over the last probably couple of hours. I've been looking at it. We had all the major currency pairs here lining up, but at the moment, then you see euro and sterling sort of drift off the page. So that's where we are. It's in a bit of balance at the moment. Now, right now, today, focus on the signals that line up with what's going on. Now, we do have Chinese CPI numbers, right? They are due in about 40 minutes, right? Now, regardless if we think the Chinese numbers are made up or whatever it is, that's the event. And this is very important to us because it's going to directly impact the Aussie and Kiwi, right? And the Aussie and Kiwi right at the moment are giving us a very clear bullish signal. And Aussie, well, it's a little bit conflicting because we've got a buy zone level on the short-term charts and a sell zone on the long term. Now, to me, I've had a mixed outcomes on that. So I'll be watching that closely and mainly watching the Chinese numbers, stronger Chinese inflation numbers, right? Then I would think Aussie and Kiwi go up, right? It's a bit of a pseudo China trade, and Kiwi also in the buy zone. So that's the focus. Focus on what numbers are coming out because these numbers are a general. They're like an indicator, right? Stronger Chinese economy that leads to more growth, more buying. Australia and New Zealand, well, China's their biggest export market, so they are very reliant on China doing well. If these numbers are weak, well, it's going to be a little bit conflicting for that bullish signal, right? And as we go into the European and North American sessions, you want to be keeping a close eye on things, right? As I mentioned there, at the moment, euro and sterling uncertain, dollar Swiss and dollar CAD uncertain. Now, this may be because the market is stalling in the lead up to the US CPI. But let's just focus on what's in front of us right now. We've got the Chinese numbers coming out today, as I said, in about 40 minutes. Just keep a very open mind about the Swiss National Bank chairman, right? They do come out with some crazy stuff occasionally, and it's usually out of left field. Right now, to me, him saying something crazy is out of left field, so it makes sense, right? If they want to get an impact on how much the Swiss has been going up, well, that's the time, right? And just also keep an eye on the US PPI numbers, another sort of inflation number, but the main one, the CPI tomorrow, that's the main game. So we've got a few things to sort of work through. I'm just, as you go through the Asian or Australasian session and then into the European and North American, just refresh the signals, right? These will tell you the pairs that are in play. Make it easier for you to identify what to trade. Now, these signals are updated every 15 minutes, right? So make sure if you are sitting there, just check the signal to make sure it's not, make sure it has been updated. All right. And that's where we are. So the Chinese numbers, right? And actually, let me just come back to the calendar for that because you need to be abreast of what's going on. If I just come up the top here, inflation numbers for China is a big thing, right? Biggest exporting country in the world. So if you're just having a look at these numbers, it's probably the year on year, which is the most important. The consensus is minus zero point 0.2, and you can see the range here, 0 to minus zero point 0.4, right? So for me, to get into an Aussie trade where it looks like momentum is coming up, I want to be sort of looking for a number stronger than minus zero point 0.2 and probably closer to 0, right? And that may give us the move we need. And you know what? Just to keep things all even, you'd love to see the same either strength or weakness in all of their numbers, right? PPI, CPI, which is month on month, year on year, right? So anyway, stronger numbers. Why am I thinking stronger numbers? Because it lines up with the general move here on the Aussie, right? And I like where it is at the moment. I like the setup, the fact that it has come back a bit. It's holding at the bull bear pivot line. We've got trend lines not far below, and we have momentum on our side. Outside, if the Chinese numbers weren't coming out, I'd already be loading up, right? But right now, I need to wait, get the confirmation, either the numbers as expected or stronger, and then I'm into that trade. And that should do us for the Asian session, right? You get into the trade, let the market do the work for you, right? And let's just see how it goes. The other pairs, I tell you, there's a little bit of a, see how like some of these, and like dollar Swiss, you can see it there as well. The stochastics is just stalling at that overbought level, right? May mean there's a bit more squeeze to come. And that sort of seems to be the picture a little bit down here on euro and sterling, right? They're just not, they just aren't like correcting as much as they should be. And that's because the market's waiting for the data, right? So we've got core positions in the market that are sitting there. Whereas you look at Aussie and Kiwi, they are ready to ricochet higher, right? So they are better trading opportunities in my eyes, and that's where the Chinese numbers come into play. So let's just see how it plays out. Don't forget the Swiss National Bank Chairman speech, I should say, and also the PPI numbers, right? By this time tomorrow, the market's going to be really focusing on the US CPI numbers, and that gives us the answers to what the Fed are going to be doing, not just next week cutting rates, but maybe for the rest of the year. Gives us dollar direction potentially leading up to the end of the year, and that's where all the money is. We get trending markets, we're on. So, and the current trend really supports a weaker dollar. So, let's just fingers crossed that we get that, and then then we'll be laughing, having a joke around how easy it is to trade. Hopefully that happens. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.